The energy of February has been moving quite quickly, and it may be bringing you some big surprises, as well as stirring some things up. Some internal struggles may be starting to appear for you. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in this update, how you can manage that, and some exercises that you can do to just ease that process and keep you moving and adapting to the changes as they occur. And I'm also going to share with you some wisdom from an Arcturian that came in this morning that speaks specifically about this month and what each of us is probably experiencing in some way. I'm Paige Apgar. I'm an energy healer in a channel, and this is your February energy update. So first things first, February has been really a continuation of what I talked about in January, which is where we had a lot of cross currents going on, things happening quite quickly, and that all had a time element to them. So you weren't able to just sit on these things. You had to get something done right away. And this is showing up for everyone in different ways. It's been fascinating, but ask your friends, see what they're going through, because you'll find it's kind of a similar theme, but everyone's experiencing it differently. In addition to that, we have these waves coming and going, and this is what my guides have said, that we're going to experience a lot of ups and downs this year. And think of that as a wave form, expansion and contraction. That's kind of an overlay on the other energetics that are going on. So it may feel like all those things that are happening quickly, that have to be done right away, come in waves. So it's like all of a sudden you have a bunch of them, and then you get a little downtime and a little space, and then you get a lot of wave of intensity of one form or another, and then some downtime. I think that's going to be kind of a signature of this year. And February, of course, has been no different. I am finding that a lot of people are hitting big challenges. You may find that in your own life. You may find that there's some issue that you come up against that feels like it gets locked or very tense. These cross currents may feel like they're hitting each other, or your cross currents are hitting someone else's, something like that. So just be aware, breathe, work with the energy. One thing that the guides have said over and over is that we have to be able to be fluid. We have to be able to go with the flow. If we don't, if we're resisting, it's going to be a whole lot more difficult. One of the reasons for that is we are moving into these very expanded states, and these things can happen to you because you're doing a lot of work, but they are also going to happen to everyone. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm not sure how that's going to play out just yet, but what I can tell you is that you may find that you're hitting higher peaks than you've hit before. So if you're doing the kind of work like listening to channeled frequency, or doing breath work or energy work, or anything that's pushing you into higher states, and maybe you have a practice that you do something like that, you may find that you're hitting new peaks. And that can be amazing. You know, you can step into these blissful states. You might feel like you're floating. You might feel a whole lot of ease and peace and calm. These are beautiful, wonderful states when we can get into them. And then the downside is that we have to come back. And when we come back, we're coming into all of the electromagnetic fields that surround us every day. We're going back into work, or onto the computer, on our devices, stresses of family life and schedules and traffic and commutes and whatever it may be. But just remember that's such a contrast to those higher states. And when you go into those higher states, you expand. There's a nice, beautiful expansion. And when you come back, you have to contract, and you're getting pushed and pulled in different directions. And that can actually be a bit exhausting. And it may feel more exhausting if you're hitting those higher places. So I just was having a conversation with a wonderful energy practitioner about this morning, and she said that she'd had a 10 or 15 minute meditation that was beautiful and felt wonderful. And then she said after she came out of it, she felt like she'd been steamrollered. And it doesn't make sense, because how can you feel so good and then all of a sudden just feel like you got flattened? It's that difference. It's the differential right between these two. So keep that in mind. On that note, I want to mention that in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be starting a group that is for people who are looking for those higher experiences, like really looking to move into much expanded states and begin a new process at a higher level. So this group works directly with spirit guides. It's all channeled frequency. It's a 10-week program, very intensive. You're going to really receive a lot of energy if you participate in this. And it will greatly expand intuition, awareness, energetic awareness, awareness of the connection with the guides, feeling into that connection, receiving a lot of messages, etc., but also getting a really big push forward. It's quite transformational work. Again, if you're interested, go ahead and join my email list. There's a link in the description below. You'll also receive 3 Metatron channelings if you sign up, and those are ad-free. And you'll receive all of that information about that group when I put it out in a couple of weeks. So going back to the energy of February, what can you do if you're experiencing some of this? Well, there are a few things you can do that will really help keep you in balance. One is to get out in nature as much as you can, because nature is in balance and it helps to balance us. So just again, always remember you're an energy field, energy system. You have a lot of different systems happening at once, but all of that together is your energy field. And when you go into nature, you're connecting with the field of nature. So just to give you a sense of contrast, if you go out into a forest, that's going to be one type of energy versus going into a park that's landscaped and has a lot of people moving through it and maybe has traffic going around the outside. Very different. The park is still going to give you some benefit, but getting out into a forest bathing, is a different experience. Anytime you can get out into wild nature like that, you're really going to help your system come into balance and stabilize. Right now, it's all about finding our stability in this process. This is going to be a very intense year. We have a lot of new energy coming onto the planet, a lot of energetic influences around us that are shifting and changing. We have to be able to adapt, so we have to be able to go with the flow, but we also want to stabilize. So other things you can do to stabilize are to do things like the daily energy routine. That's the Eden Method daily routine. I have a lot of those videos here on my YouTube channel. I walk you through the routine. I go slowly. It really helps to set that in. And what that does is it stabilizes your system, so it allows you to integrate and adapt to these changes. And it also gives you a nice stable container, so you're not as easily shaken. So if you do that a lot, your whole system is going to become a lot more resilient. It's all about creating resiliency. You don't have to do it all the time, though. Even if you just do it a little bit, you're going to get some benefit from it. I also have a lot of other exercises, a lot of other videos that you can watch, short exercises. Any one of those would be helpful in keeping yourself balanced. So the emphasis here is just on finding the things that keep you balanced. You can also do your yoga, your breath work, your meditation, whatever helps you, but definitely look for something that you can bring into your life, because we are going to be pushed and pulled quite a bit. On that note about being pushed and pulled and the internal struggles, there is something happening. This is what my guides are saying. They're kind of pointing in this direction that February is probably this kind of initiation of internal struggles. And you may already be feeling this. Other people might feel it later. Of course, we're all working from wherever we're starting from and what we're carrying. But think of it in terms of energy. We have all of these changes going on around us. We have all of these influences, these different currents. As that pushes on your system, it's going to push things to the surface. It's going to dislodge the old stuff. And you carry with you in your energy system all your old traumas, all your old unresolved issues, all the stuff that people don't like to think about and don't want to deal with. It's all in there. And it's going to start to get pushed and pulled, stirred up. We have to deal with it. You know, we've been shedding a lot of things, and 2023 was all about breaking down and shedding layers and clearing out. We're in more of a phase now for 2024 of restructuring. That's what keeps coming in, stabilizing and restructuring as we shift into higher states. But part of that is still going to be clearing out the old. So just know that you may have your own internal struggles going on. On that note, I have a message from an Arcturian that came in this morning, and I want to share that with you. And this is specifically for the moment that we're in and this month. I'm just going to read this for you. Be kind to yourselves and others. Lower your expectations of others and understand that there is much internal struggle occurring in your population now as the result of the shifting of energetic patterns. Do not feel disappointed when others are not able to fulfill your needs. And remember that each one is in a process of internal transformation that may be quite challenging at times. And I thought that this was interesting. especially this piece about others fulfilling our needs, because ultimately our expectations are often based in getting our needs met. So there's a reminder to turn your focus back towards yourself, away from others, if you feel yourself getting pulled into criticizing others, losing patience with someone, or feeling like they're not doing what you wanted them to do, or they're not being how you wanted them to be. Look inward and ask yourself what that's about for you, what need isn't being met for you, what expectation you might have had that's not being fulfilled in some way. But also remember that they're going through their own internal struggle, as you are, and if you aren't yet, you probably will be at some point. So again, a reminder to project compassion and loving kindness, and remember that we're all in this together as we move forward collectively. So that is it for the month of February. Thank you for joining me. And remember, you can click that link below to sign up for my email list to get more information about the group that's starting soon if you're ready to take your frequency to a new level. And I wish you much luck for the rest of this month.